there is a storm coming. And not one of you is ready for it. Now, when you hear me say that, there's various things you might be feeling, but one or two of you might possibly think something like, isn't that a slightly arrogant thing for Mr. Reed to say? Is this like I'm supposed to know this stuff and I'm telling all you about it? You know, I don't have the abilities to see the future that the protagonist in the film has, although I do have terrible and sometimes wonderful dreams. But here's the thing. Not a one of you is prepared for it, and nor am I. None of us are prepared for it. Because the only way we can actually be prepared for it is if, as a community, as a much larger group, we actually make it real to ourselves in what we do and how we face into the future that is coming, which is going to be hard. But if we face into it together, it can be so much better than if we don't. And that's how we might be able to be prepared for it. That's the only way we might be able to be prepared for it. And that, of course, is the importance of projects like this. And when I point to this, I'm pointing to this house, but I'm also pointing to the whole of the Retrofit Balsall project, which I think is incredibly inspiring, which is why I agreed many months ago to trek across the country to address you all. And it's fantastic. You know, when Joe and I first dreamed this up last year, it's wonderful when something like this comes into fruition. So here we are. And yeah, I'm really proud to be here at a project which I think is really cutting edge. And there are at least 4 things which are important about this project. The first one, and most obvious, is that it's making a difference, right? It's actually literally reducing bills, reducing carbon emissions, increasing warmth and comfort. We all want our children to be warm and comfortable without it having to cost the earth, right? And in a small way, this project is already making that happen. The second reason it's important is because it's trying to scale up. And the truth is, and I think pretty much all of us know this, that we can't wait for a government to lead on these crucial, literally vital matters, because they've categorically shown how incapable they are of exercising such leadership. Next year, this terrible government that we have at the moment will be thrown out and replaced by one which will almost certainly be better, but probably not a lot better. You know, if anyone who's sitting here thinking, oh yes, just another year and then finally, you know, it's probably not going to be like that. There's going to be a lot of disappointments, and some of those are already being very clearly signalled. For example, by the leader of the Labour Party saying, actually, we are going to allow more drilling in the North Sea. There are other examples I could give. So we can't rely on government to do this for us. We have to get on and do some of it ourselves. The third reason that a project like this is important is because it shows what is possible. And it shows what is possible both to other similar projects or to people thinking, I really want to do something with other people. What should I do that can actually make a bit of a difference? But also, and here we come to the fourth and possibly most important reason of all, we need to show what is possible also to government. And when I say government now, I mean local government and regional government and above all, national government. And while I expressed some skepticism a minute ago, governments do notice, they do feel pressure, they do learn from good examples. The incoming government that's going to replace this one next year will be better than it would otherwise be, to the extent that there are more projects like this one and they are working. And that's very important, because that's the ultimate way in which you may be able to scale up. And this is a lovely example of the kind of thing we had in mind when we created the Climate Majority Project, the basic idea of which is there already is a majority of people who are concerned about this mother of all emergencies that we are in. They're not deeply enough concerned about it mostly, because most people don't really understand just how bad the situation is, just how much it's baked in already that it's going to get worse for quite a long time to come. So the climate majority needs to be deepened, and we need to handle these difficult truths together, and we need to act on them, we need to be activated. And to the extent that we see stuff like this happening and scaling and spreading, we start to realize there actually are loads of people who are already thinking this way and feeling this way and starting to do something about it. So there already is a climate majority, but it needs to be deepened, it needs to be activated. And that's what we're trying to do in the Climate Majority Project. And there is not going to be sufficient action on climate and ecology without a lot of ordinary people stepping up and doing the kind of thing that is happening here. Our communities, our neighborhoods need to be transformed by us before government will step up enough itself to do more of that. And the same goes for our workplaces and our professions and our businesses and our churches and mosques. Everywhere where people are together, it is critical now that we start to try to prepare for it and to make the storms that are coming less bad than they otherwise would be. And that's basically what I wanted to say to you here this evening. And that's why I very much hope that if you have a way of supporting this project, that you will, whether that be financially or whether it be through some kind of networking that you can do or some kind of publicity that you can do or whatever it is, or on the technical side, it's very, very worthwhile. And to generalize beyond that, it's why I very much hope that in your life, you're all thinking, okay, how can I help us prepare for what is coming and make it less bad? And be able to look my children and grandchildren in the eye and say, I did what I could when I knew. Because once you know, there is no unknowing. Once you know, there is no unknowing. So that's what I wanted to say. And if you like what you've heard, then yeah, consider getting one of those books, or at least do go to the climatemajorityproject.com website and see what we're about. We launched yesterday. We think this is the start of something which could be very wonderful and very strong. And by Gaia, it needs to be. Thank you.